Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to bring to you 8 movies from 8 different countries that I found compelling. I actually want to concentrate on movies that are a little bit lesser known so that you guys have something to watch. Like, I don't want to give you something that is super well known because you've probably already watched that. I really want to bring something new to the table. So if you guys are interested in recommendations for movies from any of these countries, keep on watching the video. Before we start, I do want to thank Speakly for sponsoring this video. Speakly is an app that combines computational algorithms to teach you the 4,000 most relevant words in your target language. Personally, I started using Speakly to reinforce the Russian that I was learning in my classes. The first thing that Speakly does is that it gives you a placement test, and I placed on the beginner 3rd level, so I was able to already skip about 700 words. The one thing that I really like about Speakly is that it has spaced repetition system, and aside from that, the exercises are very relevant to what you would encounter in real life. I'm going to show you an example in the screen. As you will see on the screen, Speakly mixes a variety of skills in its exercises. There is listening exercises, fill-in-the-blank exercises, grammar exercises, all in one, but you can also decide to drill one of those skills individually if you wish to do that. The reason why I think Speakly is so useful is because instead of drilling you in particular individual words, they really use the power of phrases and expressions that people would actually use in a dialogue. And obviously, since Russian is such a complex language, when you see a sentence and you have to choose the sentence that has the correct grammatical structure, it really makes you think about what the correct grammatical structure is. So as you can see over here, the sentences are very similar, and you do have to think about what the correct case is, if the verb is imperfective or an imperfective, and obviously those are specific to Russian, but you will find similar exercises in the other languages as well. Personally, I think that Speakly has helped me with understanding the language a little bit more and understanding how to put the words that I've learned in class and the structures that I've learned in class into an actual dialogue and make myself understood. So if you guys want to check Speakly out, definitely go download their app. I will be putting the link in the description down below, and they're also offering you a 40% discount, so definitely go take advantage of that and start learning or continue learning a foreign language.
Okay guys, let's go back to the movies.
First movie is The Hidden Face. It's a Colombian movie, and honestly, I can't really pinpoint the genre. It's at the same time romance and psychological thriller and a drama in of itself. So it's a lot of things, and that already tells you that this movie is packed with incredible content. I watched it in 2011. It is from 2011. I watched it when it came out. My 13-year-old self thought it was a great movie, so that can tell you everything. I do think it's a great movie. I've rewatched it a few times, and I think that the story is so good because it gives you a morale, which I find interesting, that trying to make other people prove that their feelings for you are true can ultimately be your demise, like it happened to the girl in this movie. So just to give you some sort of sense of what the movie is like, I do want to give you a summary of the plot. Basically, the Spanish couple moved from Spain to Colombia, and they acquired this house from a German woman. Now, the girl is the only one who is in Bogota at the moment because the husband is still in Spain, so she's the only one that gets the tour of the house. And when the German woman is touring her around the house, the German woman tells her that her husband built a secret chamber in the house
because he was a former Nazi SS officer, and after the war he was afraid that someone would come to the house and arrest him.
After that happens and they get the house and they move into the house, the girl is the only one that knows about the secret chamber, so she decides to test her boyfriend and see whether he would be worried if she suddenly disappears. If you want to know more about that, definitely check out the movie, and if you're more intrigued and want to talk about it later, we can definitely make a video only talking about that because I think it's such an interesting movie. The second movie is Café de Fleur, and this movie blew me away. I was completely speechless, and the thing is that I didn't have a lot of high expectations going into it because I didn't find the thumbnail attractive, like the billboard for the movie attractive, and I just thought like, oh, this is kind of a sweet movie. I feel like it's going to be melodramatic and have a lot of emotionality, but it was insane. I mean, yes, sure, there was a lot of emotion in it, but at the same time it had interesting timelines. It played with time periods a lot, and the cool thing about this movie is that it had two parallel lines in two different years, like in the 1960s in France and then in the modern, I guess, 2015. So those two timelines with different characters, a different cast, were running parallel to each other, and you don't really understand why, like how the timeline from the 1960s is relevant to the timeline in 2015. When you realize how those timelines are related, I mean, you're going to be completely speechless. First, I don't know if it's only me that I only found it incredible, but I think that this is a movie that is going to blow you away. Before I talk about the third movie, I do want to warn you that it has scenes of sexual assault and rape. So if you don't want to hear anything more about that, feel free to skip to the other parts of this video. The third movie that I'm going to be talking about is the Tandal Syndrome. And before I talk about anything, I do want to define what Tandal Syndrome is when you become physiologically sick for being surrounded by beauty. And apparently a lot of people faint when they go to Florence or Paris or Athens and they observe original ancient artworks for the first time. So the plot is that this woman who's a detective is following the steps of this guy who's a killer, and she finds him in a museum. And the museum, she gets overcome by the beauty of the artworks and she faints. The killer notices that she's a detective and that she's following him and that she's overcome by the artwork. So in order to protect himself and to escape, he uses that fact that she knows about her against her. So she starts using art in order to disorientate her, and beauty, which I find an incredibly compelling concept. Now, there are a lot of like graphic scenes and horrible scenes that I personally didn't enjoy that much, but overall I think that the movie explores the themes of art, psychology, and murder quite well, and it also tells you how those things relate to each other. The most interesting part about the movie is that there is a psychological twist at the end. At the end, the girl internalizes her murderer. If you want to know what that means, which I know makes absolutely no sense right now, definitely go check out that movie. I think that it is interesting all the way through. I would lower the violence a little bit because it is extremely violent, but the end is very worth it in terms of the plot and the content of this movie. The fourth movie on this list is a Brazilian movie that's called As Duas Irenes. And the reason why I like this movie is because, first of all, it's incredibly visually pleasing. It's very aesthetically well composed. And the second thing is because the story is very interesting, although I would say it's a little bit slower. There is not a lot of drama, and I think it only has one twist. I also don't want to say a lot because I feel like I'm going to spoil it if I do. So basically, these two girls become friends, and that friendship evolves into them getting to know each other to the point where they realize that they're related in a way that makes them question their own family and the ties that they have to the family, and also this strange existential question about who they are aside from their name. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and you're going to have to watch the movie if you want to know a little bit more. I do think that this video is getting a little bit long, and I don't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of storylines, so I'm going to make a part 2 to this video if you guys enjoy part 1. If you do, please tell me in the comments that you liked it, and I am going to say goodbye until next week. Also, you can find me on TikTok now, so if you want to have more sporadic language content on your TikTok, definitely go follow me there. Bye guys!